Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Andrew Ruffin, and I'm here today with author Kelly Morgan. Kelly, thank you for being here with us today.
You're welcome. Happy to be here.
All right, I'm happy to have you. Can you start with telling us a little bit about your personal background?
Yeah, so I have been an indie author really probably for maybe the last five, 5 to 7 years. When I first got into this space, I didn't know anything about publishing a book. So I wrote my book, You Sound White, and I just started sending it out to publishers and agents, really not knowing anything, trying to come up with a pitch letter. And I got a lot of no's, and I got this one yes, right? And this one publisher like really gassed me up and told me how great I was and how great the book was going to be. And they were going to publish it and all these things were going to happen, right? And so I'm all gassed up, I'm all excited. And then he asked me, like, well, how many books are you going to buy? And I was like, well, you're the publisher. What do you mean? Buy books. And he's like, well, I'm investing all this money and all these other things. I just need you to invest $700 and buy the books. And I was like, and at the time, mind you, I don't know anything, right? So I'm like, well, okay. And so I did. And the minute that I did that, he ghosted me, right? I didn't get any books. I never saw anything for my $700, but he did publish the book on his platform. So it was out there,
Okay.
right? I never saw any royalties. I never saw what it did. And it was out there, but nobody would listen to me that it was mine. It took me a very long time to get it back. And after I did finally get it back, um, I just was done with the whole publishing thing. I was done. This whole indie thing sucked, right? But it always gnawed at me, right? I always wanted to be an author. So I decided I was going to try again. But this time I said I'm going to do it where I'm going to do a podcast and I'm going to promote other authors. And I did that for like 2 years. And I had a podcast called Bright-Headed Publishing Patio Book Club. And all I did was interview authors. But then that's all I did. I didn't get a chance to do anything for me,
Mhm.
right? So that didn't work. So I stopped again. I said, oh man, I cannot get this right. So then I just went through a phase where I got depressed and I ate a lot and I gained all this weight and I would lose weight and gain weight and lose weight and gain weight. And then I wrote my book, Wait for It, right? And that kind of helped me get through that process. And I thought, you know what? I'm gonna try this one more time. And I did. And so I published Wait for It. I republished You Sound White and I did an audiobook for Wait for It. And I've been here since January of this year, right? In this space again, trying to figure out these indie waters. And
Right.
so that's my very long story to your very short question. But that is how I got here. So this is my third time at bat in this world, in the indie world, but I'm a lot smarter this time. I'm a lot more prepared. And so I feel good about what I'm doing today.
Awesome. That's awesome. So you kind of touched on Wait for It and maybe what inspired you to write it, but can you give us a little bit of information about what the book is actually about?
Yeah, so the book is fiction, right? It's not a memoir or anything like that. The book is fiction. It's about a woman, an older woman, maybe in her 50s, African American woman, who just one day is just overweight and is just tired of being overweight. But it's not a before and after story. It is what happens during the weight loss process that nobody talks about, right? That it's not that I'm going to lose weight and the next day, bring, I'm, 140 pounds. No, it's not that type of story. It is her manic, sometimes obsessive, crazy journey to weight loss and what you will do to be accepted. And the antagonist in the story is her scale because her bathroom scale talks to her,
Okay.
right? It actually, and you got to figure out, is it her or is it the scale? That's for the reader to decide. But the scale talks to her and it lies to her and it makes her do things that she thinks will help her be accepted. And it's just that journey.
Mhm.
That's what the book is about.
That is incredibly interesting. That's an incredibly interesting perspective that I've never heard before. So I'm actually very excited to take a read
And
myself.
it's also an audiobook. So I actually went into the studio and recorded the audiobook. I wrestled about how to do the audiobook. Am I going to do it? I'm going to hire somebody to do it? These days, AI can do it. But ultimately, I went into a studio and I recorded the book.
Well, since you mentioned AI, let's talk about that. How do you feel about AI writing books for people now? So many people are trying to go that route. What do you think about it?
I'm a big believer in your words, your voice. AI can never be you.
Right.
AI is great for brainstorming. AI might be great for maybe helping you organize your ideas, but it should never write your story.
Right.
AI should be used for research, right? It can maybe help you tighten it up a little bit. It maybe can help you bring in words that maybe you haven't thought of to really express yourself,
Hmm.
right? But it should never write the story.
Right.
So I mean, AI is here to stay. It's not going anywhere, right?
Right.
So you have to leverage it, but not it can't be you. And I think a really good reader can pick up on AI than, your voice. That's my whole thing. Your words, your voice.
Yeah, I certainly hope that readers are able to distinguish between a human voice and an AI voice.
Yeah.
AI is getting better and better though at
It is
mimicking our
getting better.
voices.
It's getting way better. People have, I'm sure, written whole books and published them using nothing but AI. I would bet that, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, and so you did mention your other book, You Sound White. Can you give us a, a synopsis of that book?
All both my books are fiction, but they're rooted in truth, right? So I grew up in Salt Lake City, Utah. So not a lot of black folks in Utah, growing up. And so when I grew up and I went to elementary school, I was like the only person of color, me and my sister. And all my life I've been told I sound white, or maybe you speak well, which is not a compliment. And
Hmm.
just this is just something I've always been told, just always. And so when I went to go write that first book, I just had a story in my head. This one is really totally fiction. The characters are younger. There's a bunch of characters. It's like a ensemble of characters, right? So different things, different storylines are happening, but they all tie in together. But your protagonist, your main character is another, she's a journalist, she's young, African American. She's been told she sounds white and she's just trying to navigate her way through. And her friends run into different issues that you run into when you are a black woman in this world and you're told that you're certain things and you're not. People just judge you automatically. If you talk a little too loud, then you're aggressive or you're angry, you
Hmm.
know, and you're not.
Right.
So it's just a book like that. So there's just different characters and it played out like a movie in my head. And so I just wrote what the characters were saying. That's how I write. When I write, I see the characters in my head and they just start having this dialogue. And sometimes I have to, try to keep up with what's going down in the story that I'm seeing, to make sure that I get it right. So that's just how
Okay.
I write.
Awesome. So yeah, my next question was going to be about your writing process. So you touched on that a little bit. Do you have like specific time set aside where I'm going to write from this time to that time, or do you just write whenever the spirit hits you?
I wish I did have like a writing time, but that just doesn't appeal to me, right? I just want to write when I want to write. And if I'm really into the story, I'll just write all the time. I don't have to have a set time to write because that's all I want to do. Like
Hmm.
right now, I wrote a children's book and it maybe took me about a month to maybe flesh out the story. But now I'm working on the illustrations and I'm not an illustrator. So it's finding somebody and
Hmm.
how that process works. But the whole story, it was hard for me to tell an illustrator what I want because as I'm seeing the story, it played out like a cartoon, right? So it just played out like a movie, but it was a cartoon in my head because it's a
Hmm.
children's story. So
Right.
automatically my brain went cartoon. So I had this
Right.
whole cartoon in my head, and trying to take that and put it on paper is so difficult. I got the words, it's the pictures. And when you're writing a book, that's different. I can maybe describe to you what I want you to see, but in a children's book, you want them to see it, which is completely different. I thought it would be easy, not easy at all.
Right. Okay. Yeah, we're always learning, right? Now, we've talked about your books, but I know that you do a lot of different things besides writing. So, can you tell us about some of your other activities?
Yeah, so the one thing that I am working on is Bright-Headed Publishing is a small indie press. And my brand is to help underrepresented voices get their words out there. So the goal is to publish other authors one day. That is what I want to do. So I'm building the infrastructure. I could publish somebody today, but where a lot of us get stuck is the marketing piece,
Mm.
right? And that's what a publisher does. The publisher pushes and markets your book. And so that is what I'm working on now because I want to be able to give somebody a full marketing plan when they come on board. So right now I am that guinea pig. But by
Okay.
January 2026, I will be ready to launch and take manuscripts and really look at anybody. And I don't have a genre. I won't have a genre. So
Right.
that's just one of the things that I'm working on along with my children's book, right? Because I want to get that out there. And then I also have the author's mic so that if you are an indie author and you're new, I can help you by just giving you tips and tricks. And that's what the author's mic is. It's a mini cast, 5 to 7 minutes, maybe 10, of just tips and tricks of things that you should know in this world that I didn't know when I first started, because the last thing I want is for somebody to go down that road where they're getting scammed, right? And one thing I learned about being an indie author is there's a lot of predatory people out there
Yes.
who are wanting to separate you from your money. And usually
Yes.
indie authors don't have any money. And the
Right.
little bit of money that we do have, right, we want to be able to spend it and get a return on the investment. So if I give you $50 to write a review on my book, I really want a real review. And you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
things like that, people are easily scammed. And so I'm just
Mhm.
trying to help people navigate, whether they use me as their publisher or somebody else who they publish themselves. It doesn't matter to me. I just want you to have all the tools you need in your toolbox to be
Right.
successful.
So let me touch on that because as an author myself, I have had so many people reach out to me offering services or offering these things that I knew were scams, right? That they were really just trying to take my money and not really give me anything for my money. So do you have any personal experiences with those
I do,
kinds
and
of
actually,
people?
some of them I actually did one of my authors mic on. Do those book reviewers really work because they slide into your DMs and they're more than willing to review your book for $35 plus the cost of the book, right? And they're willing to put it out there, but what is their reach? What are their analytics? And when you start asking them those types of questions, they usually can't answer you.
Right.
You're better off sticking to the known platforms like Book Blurb and book. I think there's one called book.org and Readsy and Goodreads, where these are legit platforms. There's actually legit influences out there as well,
Mhm.
but those people are usually so busy, it's really hard to get to them,
Right.
right? So, you are better off if that's the route you want to go, then you're going to have to pitch and you're going to have to pitch a lot. Right? I'm
Right.
not saying that it's not possible, but you're going to have to pitch a lot of them, or better yet, build your own platform. That's my big thing.
Yeah.
Stop waiting to get a seat at the table, right? Build your own table.
Right.
There's just too many platforms out there that you can't be out there too. If you want to get readers, maybe start a book club and
Yeah.
start with your book
Yeah.
and then bring in other authors and let them bring in their books. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
things that we can do for our community where we don't have to rely on predatory people to take our money.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with you
but we
100%.
have to be able to work together and not there's enough readers for all of us. We all write differently, we all have different appeals, and everybody has a story, Drew. So why not get everybody the opportunity?
Right. Exactly. I love that. I love that. Kelly, it has been an incredible pleasure and honor to speak with you today. Thank you for joining me. Anyone who would like to learn more about Kelly and her work can click on links below. I'll make sure to have links to all of her work below. Did you want to show your books? I know you brought something
You
with
want
you.
to see them? So I'll show you. Wait for it. Wait for it is a small novella. It's not that thick, y'all. It's not, I call it a summer beach read. And then wait for it. I mean, You Sound White is a little thicker. But it reads like a story. I liked it. I liked them both. Of course, I'm biased. I wrote them, but yeah, I've read them both, and I'm like, oh man, this is good. Who wrote this? Me.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you next time.